The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
To On Trial, where we debate the merits of your favorite movies. Hope you're ready, Hollywood, because if on trial.
Ooh, on trial.
On trial.
We have intercourse with your favorite movie.
That is not true.
No.
Everybody who hears that theme song has that thought.
No.
Yes. Oh,
no.
I already hate this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen.
I hadn't seen that new. Is that graphic kind of new?
It's over a year old. It's from like the second or third episode of Sessions.
Okay. I couldn't remember if that was new or not. I hadn't seen that one in a while. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's been a year since you've been on an on trial, because we did one for Gladiator.
Yeah, there's a decent chance that's true.
Yeah, I can tell you, I almost know for a fact you have not done an on trial since then. I've done on trials.
Oh yeah, quite a few.
And I make that same joke almost every show.
You need a new.
Okay, I'm bored. Go ahead. Move on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On Trial, where we debate the merits of your favorite movies. I am joined by my hetero life mate and brother from another mother, a pretty cool fruit who really knows where his towel is at. Ladies and gentlemen, for the prosecution, Robert Winfrey. Yay!
Easiest case of my life.
And because she's picking up my daughter from the Mahaffrey Theater tomorrow night, Erica Poe.
Hey!
What?
Wow. Okay. I'll remember that.
So, Erica, you wanted to be here against my better judgment. You watched both of these with me. Did you see The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which is what's on trial tonight? We are comparing the original.
Actually, I saw the original on VHS, baby.
Which came out in 1992, and we are comparing it to the 2025 remake that went straight to Hulu.
They've gone straight somewhere else.
So, just really quick, when you saw, don't go into like a full movie review for the love of Christ, but when you saw the original when you saw it on VHS, those many years ago, like 50 words or less, what was your impression of the movie?
My impression was that this woman was diabolical, that I didn't want her to win, and of course, I mean, I was like 14?
Yeah.
So that was pretty appropriate for the time then.
Yeah. Did the movie have any like lasting impact on you? Because I know when I told you,
it creeped me out and made me not want to go to the gynecologist ever.
That's amazing. That almost justifies you being here. Robert, did this movie also not make you want to go to the gynecologist?
Well, considering this was my first time watching it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You've never seen this before?
Nope. Just missed me.
You were aware of its existence, yes?
Yeah, in the sense that I knew the phrase, and the general premise has been parodied enough over the years and other things that I kind of like absorbed a chunk of it, but I've never, seen the movie.
And prior to my forcing you into this against your will and better judgment, had you had any interest in watching the movie?
No.
Okay, not your speed. I saw it when it came out. I don't remember if I saw it in the theater or not. It's 1992. I'm in high school at the time. So it was a good chance I saw it at the movies. Also, a better chance I saw it on cable when it finally got there.
I saw it on VHS.
You certainly did, Ollie.
Yeah.
At the time, I remember it being a big hit. I remember liking it a lot, but it only had a lasting impression on me in that I remembered it all these years later. I more or less remembered how the movie went, and I was surprised but not surprised that they made a remake of it. We'll get to that in about 30 minutes. But I remember at the time thinking like this is a really solid movie. So let's get into it. Don't want to belabor the point. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is a 1992 American psychological horror thriller. I don't know if it's called
horror is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
psychological thriller is where I'd end that.
Yeah, I don't know where they got horror from. Whoever wrote the wiki on this. Directed by Curtis Hanson. If you don't know her, Curtis Hanson, well, you should. He directed, produced, and wrote Sweet Kill in 1972, L.A. Confidential, which is probably his most, which came after this. Probably is the one he's most known for. And in 2007, he also wrote, directed, and produced Lucky You. Other movies he's known for are 8 Mile, which I know is one of Robert's favorite.
Really?
Movies. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, produced and directed that one. Wonder Boys, she produced and directed. The River Wild, Bad Influence, The Bedroom Window, Losing It, Story of Mark.
So he's got a very specific thing that he does, and he just does it over and over again for the most part.
Pretty much. He's done some television, he's whatnot. So pretty well known, pretty successful guy. It stars
Rebecca De Mornay. No.
Annabella Sciorra, the aforementioned Rebecca De Mornay, and probably her most famous role. Matt McCoy, Ernie Hudson, Ernie Hudson knowing better than to go full retard, and Julianne Moore, which I had completely forgotten about, and then Madeline Zima. So the plot of this thing, just really quickly, is basically our lead lady goes to see a creepy doctor. Creepy doctor sexually assaults her.
You really can't trust Q.
No, not at all. And so she reports him. He commits suicide, leaving his wife penniless. His wife is Rebecca De Mornay. She loses a baby and then changes her identity and gets gainful employment with said lady as the nanny, and then hatches her plot to move the lady out of the way, take over this family, and get revenge. It does not go her way, and she ends up being pushed out a window, falling on a spike, and she dies. So I'll go to you first, Erica, since I know you're aching to talk about this movie. How much do you love The Hand That Rocks the Cradle? What do you think about it?
Well, how much do I love it?
Review the movie.
I thought the screenplay was interesting. I thought that it was well written. I thought that the remake was...
We're not after the remake yet. We're just talking about the first movie.
Okay. So I thought the first movie was well worth the watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciated the character development. And I would watch it again if I was given the choice back then. And given the choice now, I thought it was an okay movie.
Let me ask you a question, Erica, in all seriousness. It's something I've been thinking about since we watched the movie, and I want Robert to weigh in, but after you do. I thought the structure of it was interesting because it gives away the finish, if we're doing wrestling parlance, right at the beginning. Yeah. You know she's the bad guy from the start. You more or less can deduce she's out for revenge. And so you, the audience, and I guess this is the point, you, the audience, are tense the entire time because you're like, oh no, you've let the vampire into the house. What is she going to do? How is she going to do it? You know, and so you watch her do all these terrible things to get control over this family. So you know what's happening, but the characters don't, which is an interesting way to build tension. I could be convinced that showing you that she's the creepy doctor's wife might not have been the best idea, and that you don't know that they're connected until later on when Julianne Moore figures it out. And then you might not know
that's the way to go.
What her plan is, as a different way of building tension. I kind of feel like the movie kind of spoils some of the punch by starting it with, you already know she's the bad guy. It's just a matter. Now wait 45 to 90 minutes for the other people to figure it out. Let me get you to react to that, and then Robert.
I really think that it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think that they made a choice, and you can agree or disagree with it. But I think that because we know that she's the villain from the start, we get to see how diabolical she really is and the choices that she makes and how she terrorizes his family.
Mm-hmm. What's your thought, Robert? Okay.
Roberts? Yeah, you're more kind of on the wrong side of Hitchcock on this one. Alfred Hitchcock had a theory about this related to building tension. If you have a dinner scene and 10 minutes in, a bomb goes off under the table, you've startled your audience.
Mm-hmm.
If you see someone place a bomb under a table and then everyone has dinner around it and you don't know when it's going to go off, you have tension.
I would submit as somewhat counter to that, maybe the beginning of Inglourious Basterds, I think it is. You know, where Christopher Waltz is having a lovely conversation over a glass of milk. And it's building tension. And you don't know the girls are underneath the floorboards until later on in the scene. Like, that scene goes a minute.
It does. It's a wonderful scene. But again, the tension actually, the actual tension kicks in once we know he's not there accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
When we see that, yeah, no, they're down there and they're listening to all this.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually when the real tension of the scene starts to get going. Before that, it's, again, slow build, but you don't actually gain any real ground. If you don't have that bit where you see that they're actually under there, that scene loses all of its momentum about a minute after that bit of the scene.
It's been a while since I've seen Inglourious Basterds, but I can recall feeling the tension in that scene well before they show the girls, which is why I submitted it as evidence.
Yeah, there's a reason Tarantino showed them.
Sure, I get that. What are your thoughts overall on this movie?
It's okay. I get kind of why it would have hit the way it did in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got a moderately interesting premise. It's fairly well made. I actually agree with the decision to let everyone know what's going on here with as far as the character goes, because if I may submit counter evidence, Your Honor, they do the other one in the remake, and boy, is it just awful.
Sure. But they make a lot of really bad decisions in the remake. We'll get to it.
Yeah, they do. A lot of really good decisions. I love the lesbian thing. Let's talk about that.
We'll get to it. Go ahead, Robert.
So yeah, there's some good stuff to be had in this one. It's got enough time to breathe, but doesn't quite overstay its welcome. You've got mostly good acting. I mean, the cast. If there's one thing about like 90s to early 2000s movies that I miss in the current landscape of cinema, you used to be able to get good quality actors in the mid-budget movies.
Yeah.
You
also got a wide berth of mid-tier actors. Like, there used to be this level of feature actors that were not like mainstream stars.
Yeah.
But they were all solid hands.
Yeah, and this movie's full of them.
Go on, Robert.
So, I think that, again, I actually liked the tension of, we know she's manipulating them, let's watch how, and let's see how long until this really goes sideways. The ability of the audience to have the dramatic irony going on of, we know something the characters don't, and watching how that plays out is, again, a pretty strong choice. Mostly because you have to be a really, really, really deft director. You have to have a really, really good script. If you want to try and play on unreliable narrator, paranoia building, that's a really hard thing to do for this kind of a movie. And I mean, you would have to rework so much of it to go that way. You'd have to take away almost everything that just shows Rebecca De Mornay sabotaging the home life. It would have to just be things that happened instead of us seeing, no, she's doing it.
Right. It would almost kind of a paranormal activity effect of, there's a ghost in the house doing shit. you know, but you don't find out how or why later, and then you kind of do a usual suspect. It's like, aha, it was this thing, it was this thing, it was this thing. I like this movie a lot. Seeing it a second time, and I can tell you, I've only seen it one other time when it came out. I think Rebecca De Mornay does subtle really well. You know, I think she's just sort of, you know, a lingering evil as opposed to, you know, more like maleficent, bombastic, over the top, silly evil.
Great word.
I think the stuff that she does in the movie is insidious without, again, being malevolent. You know, it's funny for this sort of like debutante rich woman who, you know, married to a successful doctor. She knew an awful lot about psychology. She knew exactly just how to get to the daughter, you know, how to make the baby bond with her, how to.
I mean, in fairness, manipulating the 8-year-old is not super impressive.
Sowing the seeds of discord, and making my favorite scene in the movie, because it was just so hard to watch, is manipulating the wife into thinking that her husband's cheating on her when what he was actually doing. It was like my thing with the aliens, like, we just wanted to bring you a pie. You know, like, I was planning a birthday party for you, for God's sakes, what's wrong with you? And, you know, and she's screaming at him. It was one of those where if we just acted a little like human beings, none of this happens. But you can buy the fact that she was, you know, stressed out, pushed and manipulated into freaking out in the kitchen like that.
Yeah, to the credit of the movie, you can't open with that. That can't be your opening gambit, is the freak out. You've got to spend some time getting everyone into position where their behavior becomes understandable given the headspace of the characters, and not just people doing stupid things for the sake of the plot.
Yeah, I think the end, and we can talk about this. I'll bring Erica back into the conversation. The ending, I think the movie does psychological thriller really, really well. My only, and it's like a minor qualm, because I'm hearing myself say this, I'm like, you got to give the audience what they want. But we go full, like, silly, like, fight scene at the end, where, like, our resolution to dealing with this is she fucking hits the husband with the shovel. He takes a ride down the stairs and breaks his legs. And then then the ladies have a cat fight, and poor Rebecca De Mornay goes out the window via Ernie Hudson. And it's like, really?
Onto the fence that Ernie Hudson and built. And as soon as she fell, I just went, that poor guy, he's going to have to rebuild that fence.
Well, I laughed because it was like, what a Chekhov's gun. Like, hello, I'm mentally disabled and I'm here to build you a fence. Wonderful. We'll use that in the third act to kill a lady. Like, wonderful Hollywood writing, everybody. So, your thoughts, Erica, on the concluding action fight scene between these two Marvel characters?
You know, I wasn't that impressed with the death of Rebecca De Mornay's character on the fence post. I had seen that before in Virgin Suicides.
Mm-hmm.
And so that wasn't really impactful on me. I think that they wrote Rebecca De Mornay's character very well. Mm-hmm. She was very diabolical. All of her schemes were believable.
Sure.
You know, suspend that disbelief, and that woman is wrecking your family too. But I forget where I was going with this. What was the question?
We were talking about the ending fight scene in the attic.
The ending fight scene, yeah, whatever.
Any other thoughts about the Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Robert?
You know, again, this is the kind of movie that you used to get like 5 or 6 of a year, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mid-budget.
Did it seem like there was a lot of these back then? A lot of the, like, because I was thinking of like Sleeping with the Enemy, like,
yeah,
like, we were really playing around with the.
It was like a parade of Lifetime theme horror movies, and yeah, I agree with you. This used to be a very well-used vehicle for delivering drama and trauma to women.
Like, there seemed to be a running theme of, you know, within movies of, like, you can't trust somebody in your own house. You know, there's always somebody screwing with you.
The Lifetime Movie Network was built on this premise.
Well, I was also talking about like major motion pictures. I was thinking, what the one was?
Yeah, I know.
What's the one with Antonio Banderas where he's all standing sweaty outside the door with flowers? So what am I thinking of?
With Meg Ryan?
Maybe.
In the shower scene when she falls through the shower door, she's like an alcoholic.
Maybe. Robert, your thoughts on my pickup that this sort of movie was very popular back then?
What year was this? Would this
No,
one have
answer
been?
my thing. I'll look it up.
All right. Oh, Original Sin.
1992.
No, hang on. Original Sin is probably the one you're thinking of,
Probably.
which is 01. Yeah, again, we used to, man, there's a I shouldn't say terrible. There's a sub-quality B movie about dragons destroying the world called Reign of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it stars Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey. And that used to be what you could get for these kinds of movies. Now you got the dude from Stranger Things. Which one? It doesn't matter. And that's kind of where the business of cinema bifurcating the way it has had some real negative knock-on consequences.
I may have just had a stroke or learned a new vocabulary word. Bifurcating?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Means cut in half, learned lady.
Oh. Bifurcating? I've never heard that before. Okay.
It's kind of like configurating, but, cutting things in half.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, Mark.
So anyway, other thoughts about this movie before we move on as fast as possible. I don't think I've seen the leading lady in anything else. Like I've seen the husband before. Obviously, Rebecca De Mornay is a famous actress. I've seen Q because I've watched Star Trek.
Yeah, no, nothing else for me either.
I don't remember her in anything else. She tickle any of your...
Second, I will find out.
Here, I'm looking at her.
Again, she did quite a few of these kinds of movies. Before this one, she was in like The Hard Way, Cadillac Man, Internal Affairs.
Yeah. So, wow, she's in Jungle Fever? Woo-wee.
Yeah.
Romeo is Bleeding. Oh my God, she's in
Different Underworld, yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit, she's in Copland.
All right. I haven't seen that in
so she's
long.
in like a million movies that I've seen and left absolutely no imprint on me whatsoever.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, she's in a Rattledge and Broadcasting favorite, a Hall of Fame movie. She was in The Kitchen.
Okay, let's not. I avoided that one by the skin of my teeth, and I'm happy to have done so.
That was a comic strip back in the day. All right.
I still think Jesse hasn't forgiven you.
No, Pat hasn't forgiven me. Jesse doesn't give a shit. Anything else about the original Hand That Rocks the Cradle that you want to talk about, Erica, before we go?
I thought it was a really original story. Except the death scene at the end. And I think that you get what you expect from it, and I think that's great.
Here's the thing. My only word on this, I think it was a very solid, well done movie that didn't need to be revisited.
No.
It's one of those things where...
Well, we haven't talked about that yet.
We're going to in a moment, and this is my segue into it.
Oh.
If I may, to assist your segue, Mark, if there's one other thing, I think
why everyone needs to help me with my segues, and I just can't.
If there's one other thing that we should praise about The Hand That Rocks the Cradle,
I was going to ask you if you had anything else to say.
Okay, well, allow me very briefly
to do what everyone else is doing tonight and just run over me. Go on.
Can we just take a moment and appreciate that they wrote the husband to be a competent, intelligent, non-moron?
Remember those days?
Yes, I do. Because boy, 90s. Are we about to get the opposite.
Yeah. Now that's the thing. It's like I wanted to bring this. I'm going to start singing "I Am Not Available" after 9 in about 10 seconds. So. What this reminds me of is a time in film history where you got a steady stream of just solid pictures. They weren't 10s, they weren't 1s, they were
6 to 7.
They were 5, 6, and 7. Very rarely was anything less than a 5. Very rarely was anything better than a 7. the vast majority of the films that came out in the 90s and the early 2000s were 5s, 6s, and 7s. And we've lost that. Now, if our show is any indication, most 1s, 2s, and 3s, the occasional like 9 and 10, and then like the big middle is just fucking missing. And that's my big takeaway from watching The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. It was like, wow, this is competently written. There's a sufficient amount of tension. I personally would have preferred to not know she was married to the doctor until later on in the movie, but that's a personal thing with me. It's not worth fighting with the two of you about it, or anyone else for that matter. It's just kind of one of those like, I kind of wish I didn't know that. Doesn't matter. They chose it. It works for everybody else. It's fine. But what I miss is this kind of movie, because we don't, and I'll let you respond to this, Robert, and then we'll move on to the next one. I miss this kind of movie where it was all made by adults. It was all made by competent, lived experienced, professional adults, where everybody came in and did what they were supposed to do, and you got an effective movie out of it, because you don't get that much anymore.
No, that does seem to be a bit of a dying breed as far as what is released in the cinemas. So yeah, I think the closest we've got to it, I think this year a little bit in particular, has reminded us that the horror genre can actually do the 6 to 8 range pretty consistently.
Just a really quick note on that, because something I was thinking about recently: the only successful genre right now, the only successful box office genre, is horror. Nothing else makes money at the theaters. Certain things, certain individual items. Obviously, we have a top 10 that we review every week, where we can see what made hundreds of millions of dollars. But for the most part, if you look at consistently what got released in theaters this year, what made a profit versus their budget, when you do our movie math, it was mostly the horror genre, like consistently.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really fascinating statistic.
Well, that's where we are with the business of movies right now. There's a bunch of people who think they know what they're doing, signing away the GDP of Somalia.
All right. Before we lose Erica, let's get on with the Hand That Rocks the Cradle 2025. They dropped the horror out of it, Robert. This is just
dropped
an American
a lot
thriller.
out of it.
There's no psychological. There's no horror.
There's no thrills.
Stop! It wasn't that bad.
This is a thriller film directed by Michelle Garza Cervera, and if you haven't tried her beers, you should.
Please tell me in her feature film debut as a director.
You're darn fucking close.
Because I could forgive a first-timer for this.
This is her first major thing, because before this is Juicera the Bone Woman, a 2022 Mexican-Peruvian psychological supernatural body horror film that was co-written and directed by her, and it came out in 2022. That was her directorial debut. Want to know what her second movie was?
Do I know it?
Yes, you do.
It's not this one.
It's
this one. Is it this one? Okay.
This is her second, because in her feature film section, there's 3 movies. There's one that she only does a segment, which she wrote, directed, and produced, and then like her directorial debut for an entire feature film is this Juicera movie, and then this is her first American movie. So yay, another situation where a major studio gave a more or less a first time feature director an opportunity at a big time movie.
I can't imagine what would have inspired the good people at Disney to just hire a Peruvian woman and throw tens of millions of dollars at her to remake this.
Yeah, so bad. All right. So
what public policy, Mark, might have inspired this? Might there be an initialization for it?
I believe you're talking about DOA, Dead on Arrival.
That would be what this movie is.
Alrighty. So it was written by Micah Bloomberg, who does not have a hyperlink. It is a loose.
At this point, I'm just assuming it was AI.
It might as well have been. I like the fact that even the wiki is like, this is a loose remake. Loose. Of the 1992 film. It stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Maika Monroe, Raúl Castillo, and Martin Starr. This actually came out on October 22nd, so this is Robert's like, why are we doing this? Because we have the time in the schedule, we have the space, and I wanted to just do more of the streaming movies this year. This was a big feature one on Hulu. I want to take you back, Robert.
Okay.
Erica seems to have gone back to her home planet, so you and I can just talk for a minute, like men, and let our hair down.
Yeah. Yeah, my hair's going down all right.
So I didn't make you do the homework. I at the time that this happened, I made Alexis do this, but you are aware because you're aware of everything. When Disney did their big presentation showcase about what Disney Plus was going to be and where they were going, and secondary to that, when they had the Fox purchase, what they got with the Fox purchase, I mean, everyone focuses on, like, if you look back, if you remember the articles that came out about the Fox purchase, all of the art associated with those articles was Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Pretty much, yeah.
Occasionally you got Aliens and Predators, but that was pretty much it. But if you would read these articles and you saw what Disney got with the length and breadth of the Fox purchase, was this laundry list of, I mean, I watch old movies with Jonas now. Do you know how often the 20th Century Fox logo comes up?
Oh, it's all over the place. They used to be a major studio.
I was gonna say, this used to be a major studio that made money and movies in that order.
Consistently.
I'd like to remind people these are the people that took a flyer on an autistic boy from California. He did a Star Wars picture, is what they called it. Like,
and they signed away all the merchandising rights too. I
didn't say Fox was a well-run company. I just said that they used to make movies that were successful. So Disney got all of these movies. Now, if you'll remember the context of what was going on at the time, everybody was trying to build up the streaming services. So because Paramount did this too. We talked about it at length, as if you'll remember, where it was like, we have this laundry list of IP now. Everything's getting a remake. It's either getting a show or a movie. So I can cut off the conversation of why would you remake The Hand That Rocks the Cradle off at the pass, because everything the light touched got a remake of some kind.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Just the desire to spend money, I suppose, to reimagine. Like, we've got all this. We paid a lot of money for all this stuff. Now we have to actually. Now, if we don't do something with it, it'll look like we just threw money away. So let's throw more money away.
Well, the original Hand That Rocks the Cradle is a very popular, very successful movie. I go back to it a second. The box office, it was $7 million in its opening weekend. It ranked number one at the U.S. box office over Hook, which had held the number one spot for 4 weeks. It remained the number one film in the U.S. box office for 4 consecutive. Could you imagine a movie like this being number one at the box office for 4 weeks in a row?
No, I not in the contemporary climate. No.
Then it was upended by Medicine Man.
Dude, no movie holds the top spot for 4 weeks in a row these days.
Right. So this thing made a worldwide total of $140 million on a budget of 11.9. It, like, the multiplier on that. Could you imagine?
10x.
Yeah. Could you imagine a movie now making 10x its fucking budget?
Yeah, Weapons did.
Okay, could you imagine Fantastic Four or Superman?
Not given what they spent on it, no.
That's my point. Like, that's why we talk about this stuff, because, like, there's a lot. It isn't just, oh, everything's woke. Like, that's low hanging fruit I'm tired of talking about it. But so much has changed in the last 30 years in the process of movie making. And this is one of those things. The mid-tier, appropriately budgeted, professionally, competently made thriller. And it makes shit tons of money. But linking this back to the conversation we were having, why did this get remade? Because there's a guy with a spreadsheet whose job it is to look and see what they've got and what's popular. And they're basing what's popular on how much did it make at the box office. How much did it make in, VHS rentals, DVD rentals?
Somewhere in the discussion was, boy, there's a lot of, middle-aged women listening to true crime podcasts. Couldn't we do a movie in that vein? What do we got?
Right. I'm sure that also added to it. But I would say, like, in the conversation about why are we doing this? Why are we remaking a movie that I'm sure a good portion of the contemporary audience doesn't even remember anymore. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Or wasn't born when it came out.
It's like doesn't have action figures, a TV show, a comic book. It's just kind of a little isolated island out in the world of successful movies from, the days of yore. And so that's what leads us here. Also, and I want to throw this out there as sort of setting up this movie, and then we can get to talk about it, and hopefully Eric will figure out that we're talking about the movie now and come back to us. Is everything that was popular then has to be a vehicle for today's mores. Like everything that was made that was popular 30 years ago has to be repackaged with like Gen Z values and therapy speech and the kind of stuff people think appeals to that audience now. And I don't want to go through the whole thing about how those people aren't watching movies. Why are we doing this? But that definitely seems to be a great motivator. And this went into the development.
Please tell me 2019, just because.
No, no, bro. This thing went into development in 2024.
Okay, so everything was rushed. That tracks too.
Yeah, principal photography in Los Angeles began in December of 2024.
Well, this was their token movie we shot actually in the state of California, so they don't get too mad at us.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Film was made by 20th Century and Ted Field. In October 2024, okay, that's when they. Yeah, so this thing went into development around 2024, and they went into principal photography at the end of it. And then they wrapped by March. So they fucking shot this thing in a hurry.
It shows.
The fact that they got it out at the end of October and they were only done with it by March. Not that they had to put a lot of special effects in there, but my point is you can't even use the excuse of, well, the world had changed.
Someone just thought this was a good idea.
They knew what they were doing. They were committed. So, all right, let's get into the actual movie here. All right, Max Headroom, come back to us. Rob, I'm going to tag you in here. Can you do like a 50 words or less plot synopsis? Because
okay,
this was one of those movies that I watched like a contemporary movie watcher. I was scrolling on my phone while I watched this.
So, we open with a house fire because subtlety.
Subtlety is for cowards, Robert. Listen to the album.
No, you should. You listening should. I shouldn't. It would not go well. We fast forward to a pregnant lawyer talking with another woman who's complaining about her landlord, because our pregnant lawyer is one of the good lawyers who does pro bono tenant rights stuff in Los Angeles, because this is relatable. She goes into labor. She gives birth. This is her second kid. An indeterminate amount of time later, given the size of the child, probably 2 years. I kid, but the changing of ages for these kids was a terrible mistake. That same woman shows up and is like, hey, you're looking for a nanny because you look like you're having some postpartum depression and you're married to that guy. And she goes, yeah, sure. You got a reference? And she goes, sure. So here's a reference who's very credible. And she moves in, and then things start going sideways. The mother becomes irritable and twitchy, and the daughter suddenly decides she's gay because
it's 2025, baby.
Reasons.
Everybody's gay. If I had the time, the power, and the ability, I would totally clip that from Family Guy and use it frequently on this show. That drop.
It would be used a lot.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right, Roger?
From
American Dad. Everybody's gay.
No, it's Peter Griffin who says it. I know the clip.
No, it's Roger from American Dad.
Is it?
Yes.
I'll double check.
What you're thinking of is the time that Peter was gay for an episode.
I don't think I am, but I'll look it up later. It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I'm not going to play the clip. We'll get fucking kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair. So again, things start to spiral. The daughter's 11 and is starting to push away from her parents anyway because preteen. And the nanny exacerbates this, and the mother thinks she's going crazy because
she has unknown psychiatric disorder.
She has postpartum depression.
Which is my favorite. It's alluded to. It's a little bit more than that, Psycho. When he's talking to her later about like she either has like a bipolar or like schizophrenia, one of the two. The way he's talking to her.
Yeah. So again, her home life kind of falls apart. And we, the audience, are left in this weird limbo for the majority of this movie where it's like, well, is she going crazy or is the nanny the nanny a little bit nefarious?
Right.
And Mark gets what he wants about the reveal, and it's to the detriment of everything. She hires her utterly useless...
problem isn't how they did it. The problem is what the reveal actually is. That is the issue, not that they did it later in the movie.
So her limp-wristed soy boy, pseudo-investigator of a best friend, eventually finds out something, calls the nanny in and says, you're not wrong because you're a white woman and I can't say you're wrong in 2025. But what you're doing is not a thing you should be doing, and I need you to hear me. And she hits him in the head with a baseball bat, and I cheered for her. The wife and husband briefly separate after the mother gets a little bit wild and accidentally hits the kid, the older kid, not the infant. She then finds out exactly who this other woman is because her daughter's like, I found this in her possessions, and it's a newspaper article. In 2025, newspapers.
Yep.
And she recognizes it, so she goes to confront the nanny, and they both know each other's real names. And she says, "I'm so sorry I burned down your house, killed your parents and your baby and your baby sister." And she goes, "Yeah, you should be." He goes, "But your father was molesting me aggressively." And she goes, "That's a lie. And no, he did it to you too. And now we must trauma bond together." And then she gets stabbed and no-sells it. We get a big fight that concludes with a bizarre car accident and the nanny getting flung from the hood of a vehicle across the pavement.
I have to question again, what was the purpose of doing that other than this is what they think people want? Oh, look, a mangled body. You kids like that sort of thing.
Well, you see, Mark, there was a whole bit about the stop sign earlier in the movie, so we have to pay it off.
Yeah, like the fence.
The fence at least tracked, because that's the origin story for the warden from Oz. He likes building things that keep people in.
I would say Ernie Hudson was playing the same character. He was retarded also in Oz.
Everyone in Oz is. The writers did that show no favors after season 3. Yeah. Anyway. 4. Season 4 is when it went off the rails. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then the family kind of reunites and gets back together, but the older daughter tells the younger daughter some of the same stories about the nefarious nanny, and this is meant to be ominous, and it's not. Everything about this movie is bad.
I had a therapy session today at 5 o'clock. Mother and daughter. Daughter is an adult and lives out of state. And the mother insisted that this happen, so I, being a good employee and paid to do this, did this. And I listened to our 20-something young lady do word salad, emotional vomit therapy speak for Gen Z for 5 to 10 minute blocks. And I had two prevailing thoughts while I was enduring this. One was, my grandfather was right, I should have been an accountant. And 2, the worst thing to happen to Western civilization was the adoption of therapy speak.
I'd agree with that. It's up there.
It's terrible. It is ruining people. It is ruining the way they communicate. And here's the thing, because we're getting there. We're very close. We're just at the top of the hill, and we need to get over the hill. But we're not quite there yet. We're not quite to the point where if anyone utters therapy speech, they are immediately shut down as being unreliable and not worth listening to. Therapy speech is the modern equivalent of the septum ring. If I see it on you, I will not take you seriously. And I have to sit there and listen to these 20-something idiots spew stuff that I had to spend, years learning in school and then crafting as a professional, spit back at me like a fucking fire hose, and it drives me nuts. And I'm bringing this up because it is the foundation on which the script was written.
Yeah. There is nothing here but I hear you, I see you, I want to help you, but I can't help you unless you admit that you might be wrong. Can you admit that possibility? I'm sorry I did this terrible thing to you. Let's talk about it. And I'm here to listen to whatever you have to say.
If you take a drink every time they say trauma, you will get alcohol poisoning.
In the first 20 minutes.
But by the end of the movie, you won't know who you are anymore.
And you'll be better off than having watched it sober.
This is so bad. This is going to make my worst of the year list.
It is probably going on mine, too. I can't think of a single good thing to say about it.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead gives a good performance.
Okay.
That's its saving grace. And everybody pretty much agrees with that. That is the consensus about this movie. Because here's the thing. We're complaining about it. We're probably being harsher than most. But almost none of the critics, I think, thought this was a good movie. But everyone's praising Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I'm not going to praise it.
Praise her. She's a her.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to praise her performance.
Well, you don't have to. But I'm telling you, because you are obtuse at times to this sort of thing, this is the prevailing consensus of this movie is that she's the only thing that's good about it.
If I was incentivized to say something nice about this via my own bizarre aspirations in the film world or mandates from on high to keep relationships good with studios or actresses, I would say that yes. That would be my only thing I could maintain.
Hang on, did you want to put more
shred of integrity.
Did you want to put more qualifiers in there? I don't think it had enough.
No, I said that or.
Okay.
Like, look, if you want my review of this movie to be something other than it's a dumpster fire, and the only thing that would motivate me to say this is something other than a dumpster, to say something other than this is a dumpster fire, is I have aspirations about being involved in the film industry, and I don't want to burn bridges, or I'm writing for a publication or doing this, and some editorial force above me exerts pressure on me to be nice. Those are the only conditions under which my leading sentiment coming out of this movie is, well, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is still a decent actress.
Here's the thing. I don't think you're being fair. Because I do think she's not given good material to work with, but she makes chicken salad out of chicken shit. She is a solid actress. She's about the only thing that's watchable in this movie. I think to not say that, regardless of those other qualifiers, is being unfair. You are taking the blanket of this entire movie and throwing it on her. And I am telling you, she stands apart from the blanket.
I'm telling you, you're in the movie and you get the associated shrapnel damage. Look, she...
Okay.
I will grant you she is the best thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I still just don't think that's saying much. This is badly paced. It's badly written. It has subplots and sub-themes that go nowhere, that are introduced for the sake of, hey, here's a thing. Like, hey, she dated a woman when she met her husband. Does that go anywhere? Does that do anything? No, it's just a thing.
Well, hey, the whole inciting incident that you don't find out till later on in the movie, that the Rebecca De Mornay-ish character is out for revenge because she found out at some point that Mary Elizabeth Winstead burned down their childhood home.
Well, her childhood home. They weren't related, but yes.
Okay. See, that's the thing. The movie is not real clear on a lot of the stuff. But my point is, first of all, this movie is also boring as shit. But
allow me to just recite the inciting incident for you.
Hang on, really quick. The origin story of Kane and the Undertaker made more sense than this. Kane recounting his entire history during anger management was more entertaining and made more sense than this movie. Now go.
So the inciting incident is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, as a young woman, burns down a house, kills 3 people. That is the house of the nanny as a young girl.
Right.
It kills her mother, father, and younger sister.
And is not immediately institutionalized, as would be, real life.
And Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character did this because the father was molesting her.
Allegedly.
Okay.
I mean, that's what they say.
Go
ahead.
That's what the nanny character, in deep denial about what happened to her, says. But
well, I was thinking about filmmaking. I don't know, which I think is relevant to our discussion.
Is it?
I was thinking about.
Here I thought we were just trauma dumping, as is the norm for modern society.
Well, my girlfriend casually falls asleep on the podcast that she wanted to be on, that I insisted she not. Anyway, maybe I'll write a song about it later.
I'm sure you can.
I don't want you on my podcast. Actually, my specific words were, I don't want to put you on a podcast with Robert. She was like, no, it'll be fine. I'm like, it won't, though. It's different when it's with you and Alexis. Who cares then? But anyway, my passive aggressiveness aside, I was
hard to get around it sometimes.
I was born in East LA. What the hell were we talking about?
The fact that part of the inciting incident, the abuse of Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, is only implied on screen and never actually confirmed one way or the other for the audience.
Yeah, and I'm starting to go somewhere with that, and I lost my train of thought, so let's keep going. Maybe it'll come back to me, and I'll cut you off again.
Okay. So, badly written, mostly subpar acted. Like, the material is not great to begin with, but if you take Mary Elizabeth Winstead out of this, name one other performance in this that is not just terrible. The
nanny character's cute looking.
So we're reducing her to her physical characteristics to find something nice to say. Good job.
Yeah.
Again, plot threads or plot points or whatnot are introduced briefly that go nowhere. The attempt to make this a bit of a paranoia discussion about, well, is Mary Elizabeth Winstead going crazy or not, doesn't go anywhere because we all buy into the premise.
Now I remember what I was going to say. Natural Born Killers.
Okay.
So if you remember Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers, which I've been thinking about lately.
Can't imagine why.
When you watch the Juliette Lewis character and you see why she does what she does, they show you her being molested by Rodney Dangerfield. And if you're going to do I burned down the house because your father was molesting me, and then you kind of have to show it. You have no first of all, you've already set up Mary Elizabeth Winstead as an unreliable character because she's got a mental illness. You've set up the
which
other
you also need to be a lot more specific about if you want us to buy into her as unreliable.
Yeah, you can't. The cowardice in this movie, or just the innate stupidity of she has unnamed mental illness.
Everyone has unnamed mental illness now, Mark. It's such a wonderful thing that just covers everything you want to do.
They should have just said she has trauma. Like she has trauma disorder, not post-traumatic stress disorder. Just call it trauma disorder. Let's make that a
Careful,
thing.
The Gen Zs will start saying that about themselves in the near future.
Already are. I've got trauma, therefore I'm okay to be a shit person.
No, that's not how that works.
Unfortunately, that's how they think it works. But anyway,
what happens when you structure your worldview around victim hierarchies?
So that's exactly true. So here's the thing. For this to have come anywhere close to working, they needed to show. I don't think you had to do like a full-on like sex assault scene, but you do need to show the father getting handsy with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, or you need to show Mary Elizabeth Winstead crazier than she already is. They don't do either. So we just talked about another movie where they don't commit to anything, and
I wish that narrowed it down.
Where the movie, it's Springsteen, by the way. My Springsteen TikTok has over 15,000 views.
Yeah,
I apparently fucking touched a nerve.
What did you say in it?
Well, some of it's our review, and some of it's just kind of comment. Well, apparently I touched a nerve because people. Which reminds me, I owe you an apology. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hate you. I'm sorry.
No. I'm not sure what you need to apologize for. Was the I'm
because
curious.
I treated you normal, but in the case of me treating you normal, I'm actually wrong and you're right.
Oh, okay.
Your antipathy towards Bruce Springsteen for his liberal, outspoken nature was something that I dismissed out of hand.
Is that the hornet's nest you walked into?
And that's the hornet's nest I kicked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My comments on that TikTok are all fuck Bruce Springsteen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's not quite October Dixie Chicks, which is a really dated reference, but
yeah. So, long story short, back to what they should have done here. So, we were talking about, I think, in the Springsteen movie and probably many others, like they don't one battle after another. I think is another one that we said this about.
Yeah,
they don't fall through on any of the ideas that they're touching on. They just sort of point at them from 100 yards and go, "Well, these ideas exist. Look at how brave we are for having mentioned them under our breath." So there's this movie, and it wants to talk about SA, and it wants to talk about trauma, and it wants to do all of these things, and it does it so poorly. It's like it gives C effort in all of the things it wants to talk about, and it wants to be congratulated. Well, it wants to be congratulated for just mentioning it, not committing to any particular point of view, just saying we mentioned it. Now give us a gold star. Give us our participation. This is participation trophy culture writ large.
Look, we had a lesbian character that wins us a GLAAD award, doesn't it?
Where's the script? We don't really have a script. We have sketches and a checklist. Go. Make film.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about this piece of shit?
The music sucks. I don't know who decided that was a good idea to score it the way that they did, but anytime the music kicks in and it's just this terrible synth, forgettable, bizarre, repeating nonsense that they got off of somebody's SoundCloud for a song. Just no. Where's the pride in anything? There is no pride taken in any aspect of the film craft here. There is nothing but shame. Visible shame.
This is what happens when you make a movie in the culture of everybody is in agreement because everyone's afraid of confrontation.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to say about this. I am not in shape.
Round is a shape, Mark. It's okay.
I have health issues. But if a 90-pound woman strikes me with a bat, I'm fairly certain, while it would take me by surprise and probably injure me somewhat, I would still have the wherewithal and the strength and the testosterone to beat this woman senseless with said bat or my bare hands. At the very least, disarm this woman of said bat. Yet here we are again in the modern Hollywood, where women the size of paper can, take a bat, which they're treating like the hammer of Thor, and strike a full-grown beefy man with it, and the man crumbles like knickknacks.
Beefy is a strong adjective for that guy.
He had a broad chest.
No, he didn't.
Look at him again in the scene with maybe a lot of padding underneath the sweater, but he didn't. Look, he's not.
There's many. I'm not disagreeing with your general point, because I agree with you. Again, general point.
He was a beefy enough modern man. Like, I'm not saying he's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, he's
a man that should have withstood that bat shot, is my point.
That I'm slightly more inclined to agree with.
I'm just so tired of this idea of if 90-pound woman swings, or attacks any full-grown man, the man crumbles like paper mache.
no one watched you can tell no one watched the original, because if they did and they see Ernie Hudson just like taking fire poker shots to the back and like a professional wrestler, like, stop that. Whack, whack, whack. I said stop it.
Like he's fucking John Moxley. He's just like, hey.
It's you hitting Andre the Giant, just like whack, and he just slowly turns.
And that's the thing. And when Rebecca De Mornay hits the husband in the first one with the shovel, it's a flat shovel to the fucking face, and he goes down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, there's some.
It's the fall down the stairs that hurt him, not necessarily the shovel shot.
Yeah, the shovel doesn't feel good, but what takes him out of the scenario is I literally cannot get back up the stairs.
Right, I've broken my legs. If that were done today, she hits him with that shovel shot, his head comes off.
Yep. That's where we are.
I feel like, everyone talks about like, oh, there should be an IQ test to be able to vote. How about you have to take a fucking anatomy test in order to get into Hollywood now?
Well, I'm gonna say something that will get me in trouble.
Don't you know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
I'm just. And like I'm making a big deal about this. It's not like they put like a beefy, sturdy girl in there. The chick playing her is this fucking big.
She would fit right in with 90s heroin chic.
Also, what is it in Hollywood now where people think everyone can take a fucking knife shot to the gut? When did this become a trend? We're like, anyway, Ahsoka, we're just running people through with swords now, and they're like, I got better. What the fuck?
Couldn't tell you. It's a thing.
I assure you, if you get stabbed in the gut, more often than not, you're not going to make it. We're not all Mr. Orange.
Even he didn't make it.
Well, he got shot on top of being shot.
He was going down anyway, but that's a whole other thing.
He bled out for a while. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Say the goddamn words. Oh, Harvey Keitel.
You're going to make me do a Harvey Keitel thing later this year or early next year, and it's going to be a thing.
Sometime next year. I had to kick it into next year.
Okay, next year then.
Yeah, we have to watch Weeping Harvey Keitel together.
Well, together's not exactly. Mark, there's a lot of things that I will do with you.
Put a simultaneous watch along of.
I'm not going to watch along nude weeping Harvey Keitel from Bad Lieutenant with you.
Aw, but it's my birthday.
I'm sure you can find at least one other person who will do this with you. It will not be me, is all.
Alexa will do it just for the attention. Yeah, if I have to. Yes, do it or I'll make a song about you. Can I tell you how my kids, I don't know if I mentioned this to you last week, but my kids' new thing is I threaten them that if they piss me off, they're going to end up in a song because that's my new thing. And then
I will immortalize you in AI music and put it on the internet.
In passive-aggressive AI music, yes. So my son looks at me and he was like, Father, I promise to behave and do you proud. I don't want to be songed. My kid died laughing.
I don't want to be songed.
I don't want to be songed, yes.
That's
straight out of the mouth of my son. All right. Well, I would say The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, not guilty. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, death row! That's how the girl says it on TikTok when she's grading people's potlucks. Death row! In her like Caribbean voice.
I don't disagree that the remake is borderline an affront to nature and should in fact be treated as such.
Borderline affront to... This thing causes natural disasters. This thing is a natural disaster.
It benefits nothing. It benefits no one. It provides no useful reflection. It is not in any way, shape, form, or fashion anything that anyone should ever aspire to or search out.
Well, everyone says we're fucking mean. So I want to read the reception thing and then we'll get out of here.
Okay.
On the review aggregator site Rotten Tomatoes, 43% out of 53 critics reviews are positive. Metacritic assigned the film a 52 out of 100 based on 14 critics, indicating a mixed or average review. Critics consistently praised Winstead's portrayal. Kevin Marr of the Times described her as a powerhouse in her most fruitful role since Smashed.
Okay. That dude is just sucking it down.
The New York Times Chris as a party found her to be doing miracles for the film.
Doing miracles to make it so you didn't fall asleep.
Most critics also lauded Monroe's turn as the antagonist.
No.
Mayer deemed it fabulously boo-hiss, but as a party thought her performance was merely chilly, lumbering like a mopey teenager stuck with reciting unintentionally funny lines. And David Rooney of The Hollywood Reporter found it less convincing compared to her previous roles. Several reviewers agreed that the film maintained strong tension and atmosphere, aided by careful direction, score, and attention to character dynamics.
They're just saying nice things to say nice things. They're lying through their teeth. These are not people you can take seriously.
Other critics were less charitable, arguing that it was an unnecessary remake that lacked the spark of the original and labeling it flat or predictable. Benjamin Lee from The Guardian noted that it was one of the less egregious nostalgia-driven remakes and was serviceably entertaining. The playlist Allison Johnson dismissed it as lackluster at times, aggravating a mess. The film's ending was cited as underwhelming or overly self-serious, sapping the tension built earlier in the narrative. So there you go. Well, folks, that is our on trial for The Hands That Rocks the Cradles.
Anyone that went out of their way to say nice things about that movie is not someone you should ever take seriously on anything again.
Speaking of someone you shouldn't take seriously, Alexis Hana will be doing a TV party tonight for Gen V Season 2, and Jesse will be joining her, who's much nicer to her than I am, and that's the way she likes it. I, however, will be doing a triple feature actor focus, which I don't know if I've done one of these before. I think I've just done director focuses. So this might be our first actor focus. And we are looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Commando, The Last Action Hero, and True Lies, baby. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sunday for our Veterans Day review.
Hey, I meant to ask you about that thing, the triple feature you're doing Thursday. That's just you and Sean?
It's me, Sean, and Kat.
Okay. I will not rush home to attempt to force my way into it.
Okay. For our Veterans Day show this November, we're looking at Masters of Air, completing the trilogy of Band of Brothers, The Pacific, and now Masters of Air.
Yep.
I'll be joined by the two Canadians, David Wright, who likes things that fly, and Andrew Graham, who's Canadian.
The irony of the two Canadians being the ones most interested in warfare.
Yes. We'll be back next week with Predator Badlands. We'll see who tries to invite themselves onto that podcast.
What a terrible movie that's going to be. I saw a longer trailer for it not that long ago and just...
Ugh.
Why?
And then a week from Wednesday, Only Murders in the Building Season 5. And then a week from Thursday will be our on trial of the original Running Man, which will once again be myself, Sean, and Kat.
The original Running Man sucks.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Do you rewatch it yet?
I have not rewatched it.
Don't talk to me until you do. Don't talk to me about that movie until you do.
I misunderstood you.
Look, man, the bizarre nostalgic fondness for that thing boggles my mind. It is just...
I haven't watched it since I'm a kid. I haven't watched it since I'm a kid, so you might be right. Watching it now might be over the top silly, but I don't know, man. I watched Commando. Hang on, I watched Commando with Jonas. We were cheering at the television.
Commando's great.
I got up, yelled, "This is cinema," and my testosterone flew out of me. My poor daughter looked like, a contestant on Double Dare. She was just like, "What the fuck?"
Wait, he's gonna kill everyone on this island? The answer is yes.
I was high-fiving my children. That's how good Commando is.
Oh, what's he gonna do with those garden implements out of that shed? Oh my! He's let off some steam, Bennett.
Yeah, every time he had one of those lines, I would look over at Jonas.
Oh, and there's so many.
I was just like, this is the most quotable movie ever, and this makes Austrian Death Machine that much funnier.
Hey, Sully, remember when I said I was going to kill you last? Yeah, you did.
I lied. It's so good. Oh yeah, Commando is fucking peak cinema. So, all right, do your boring plugs.
Yeah, so I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over on 411mania.com. WWE SmackDown on Fridays, UFC events on Saturdays. So this last Friday was a fairly uninteresting episode of SmackDown, but I covered it. Then Saturday was a pretty poor night of fights with one thing that happened that's going to become a bigger thing. Well, allegedly, there was a fixed fight on the UFC event. Yep. A fight where a guy who was heavily favored lost via submission in the first round. And in the hour or so before the fight, the fighter who lost went from a minus 240 favorite to a minus 140 favorite. If you know anything about betting, that's a lot of movement. The number of bets on that were also he's going to lose in the first round to a guy who'd never lost, as a guy who'd never lost before at all, was shockingly high. So much so that most of the sports books closed their prop bets on it. And then he did lose in the first round. And now that guy has been removed from the UFC roster, and the FBI is investigating. And it's turning into a thing. You know, the UFC barely got away from one of these a year or so ago, maybe two, with a guy who fought with a terrible knee injury. People in his life and in his camp knew that his knee was blown up. So a bunch of people bet on him to lose in the first round because he's fighting on one leg. And then he did. And he was fired and banned from the sport, and his coach was banned from the sport. That was James Krause. Just no, out of the sport now.
The James Krause?
Yes, the same. And it started to trickle in via reporting in the aftermath of this that the FBI, who monitors these things because sports betting is federally regulated, that the UFC has been informed of give or take 100 fights this year that have followed the bizarre betting patterns that indicate something is fixed or fishy. That's a fourth of their total fights all year, give or take. Mm-hmm. They're at 400 right now, give or take. Again, close to it. So we're going to see what happens, but yeah, if something comes of this, we'll be keeping an eye out. I also previewed UFC on ESPN 73 on the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast this week. It's another not good card. But the week after, we have UFC 322, which is actually quite good. So there's that to look forward to. Assuming nothing blows up between now and then. So yeah, that's what I got. And yeah, next week, Mark and I will review Predator Badlands and bury it out in the deserts of Montana, where it should be.
Robert and I will participate in an AI song, passive-aggressive AI song saying, "Please, no more Predator movies."
I will not consent to being used in that way for the sake of this, but
consent is implied.
No.
Which is the phrase that pays here on the Religion Broadcasting
Consent
Network.
Is expressly revoked.
All right. For the revoking consent, Robert Winfrey, I have to pee. Be well, be safe, and behave.